Welcome. Welcome to today's Lunch and Learn session. I'll kick off fairly quickly, and I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land that we are on and those of the Kulin Nation. I also pay my respects to elders past and present. As you know, we talk to different specialists every week. Today, I think we'll have a very lively discussion with our director, Tony Aloisio, is talking about increased RAP on the Mordialloc Freeway and the collaborative process involved in updating of Vic Roads standards and specifications. So I'll ask Tony and Arthur and Daniel to unmute and pop your screens on because we'll get going. We've got a few people in already, but we should kick off because I think we're going to need all of the time. And if just pop your questions in the Q&A or the chat and we'll answer them at the end. We've got 10 minutes at the end of this 30-minute session for your questions. So over to you now, Tony.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks a lot, Cheryl, and great to have you here, Daniel and Arthur. Hey, Daniel, I thought I might start with you. And firstly, congratulations to the Mordialloc Freeway project that we're talking about today. You know, last night winning the Contractor Excellence in the National Infrastructure Awards. I think it's a great award for a magnificent project. And we know a big part of that was the recycled material circular economy approach that the whole project took, with lots and lots of circular materials and recycled materials. We've all heard about the noise walls, and I know we'll hear a lot more about recycled plastic noise walls in the coming weeks. But today I wanted to ask you to talk more about asphalt pavement and this particular initiative on the project. If you could kick us off with that, that'd be great.
Yeah, look, thanks, Tony. And yeah, it was a great achievement last night, and I think it goes well with the Infrastructure Sustainability Council award that we won recently as well. So more to come in that space, I'm sure. Essentially what the project did was it converted its SS pavement from an SS type to an SI type. The SI type of pavement under the new or the draft standard allows 30% of recycled asphalt product, while the old standard had a 0% of recycled product in it. So in short terms, what we did is we changed out the SS and put in SI that enabled 30% of RAP. And what that means in terms of quantities, like there was 100,000 tonnes of SS material along the freeway, a new freeway, 9 kilometres of length, and that SS layer was about 170 mils deep, laid in 2 layers, and that allowed 30,000 tonnes of RAP to be included in that asphalt. So yeah, a great result. Maybe
on that. So just explain to us the different layers of the asphalt, and you know what an SS means, and you know what the constituents of that were compared to an SI, perhaps as well with the bitumen type.
So is that to me or to Arthur?
Probably Arthur would be a good one to answer that one. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. So generally, what we look for in an asphalt pavement is, especially for a freeway such as the Mordialloc, which is going to have a high percentage of commercial vehicles, is we're looking for an asphalt that's identified as a structural layer. So the SS basically comprises a different type of bitumen known in the industry as C600. It's a much stiffer binder, and what we're looking for there is an appropriate resistance to rutting and so forth. So when the pavement designers undertake their works, they're looking at trying to address those traffic loadings that pavement's going to give it for the next 20 or 30 years. So the need for an SS comes into play in those areas. We also have other layers which we identify here as SF, which is a fatigue resistant layer where it has a much higher content of binder, a different type of binder, but it's all about giving the structure a fatigue durability. So with the SS, what we ask for is generally a C600 binder. Well, what the new DOT spec allows for now is it allows you to now incorporate a percentage of RAP with a C320 binder, which then basically gives you the same characteristics as what a C600 does now. This is on the back of a 3-year Roads project, which did a significant amount of research and testing, which identified that there were opportunities to increase the amount of RAP being used in asphalt. However, that is really predicated on appropriate control of RAP stockpiles, making sure that that's being controlled in a measured way, but then also undertaking a characterization of that binder. So the DOT spec was updated in about 2020, 2021 after a significant consultation with industry. We then incorporated those key findings from that Roads investigation. It's been in the spec now for a couple of years. However, to Mordialloc's credit, they had gone out to market with the previous version of Section 407, and through the collaborative approach with the contractor, we were able to look at a departure from their existing contract, utilising those new principles. And there was a significant commitment in terms of gathering a whole host of information on RAP management, binder contents, characterizations, which then gave DOT a level of confidence that what we were going to end up with in terms of the road user was basically a comparable pavement using this high RAP asphalt layer. So I'll leave it at that so I don't get into too much more detail, Tony.
That's great. Hey, Daniel, back to you, Daniel. Then that obviously, is a fairly significant change, and it's of a really important layer of the asphalt. This is the structural bit of the asphalt layer, which is really going to be critical to withstanding the loading there. So I guess there must have been a number of things that you had to, what sort of things did you have to be mindful of and take care of, and what sort of difference did you make to this whole process, or did your project make to this whole process to actually advance the use of this particular approach?
I think it's important to understand the driver behind the project wanting to go down this path, because it sort of forms the basis of our motivation. But during the procurement phase of the project, our tenderer at the time offered a significant saving to go with the SI pavement type instead of the SS type. That was over $1 million of savings. So when we started to get into the working with industry to try and get this stuff in the ground, they started actually pushing back to us, and they said to us, well, this is not going to be approved by DOT. And after a first couple of meetings, my team came back to me and said, well, I'm not sure that this is actually going to get up. This might not even work. And we could have stepped away from it then and gave the $1 million back and said, well, okay, well, let's do the easy option. But to the project's credit, we didn't do that. And we actually rolled our sleeves up and wanted to work with our contractor and with their suppliers, which is Alex Fraser and Fulton Hogan, and with DOT to actually get the money. And this is one of those rare opportunities where greener is actually cheaper. So we were working with the industry, who was been quite reluctant to share their data with DOT, like Arthur was talking before. There was a new spec, but the new spec, people weren't acting on it as much as they could, because there wasn't the confidence and the sharing of data, and the RAP management that Arthur was talking about wasn't actually happening in the industry as well. So because of the scale of Mordialloc, what we were able to do is we were able to bring all of the parties, ourselves, the contractor, DOT and industry, to work together and negotiate a way to, yes, we got some relief around some of the RAP management. Instead of 500-ton stockpiles, we used 1,000-ton stockpiles. Industry actually shared their data, which we were really surprised that in one of the meetings they actually just pulled up a spreadsheet and started showing us all their testing. And DOT said, well, we've never seen any of this before. And then, this idea of collaboration started to work. And once that happened, it really just opened up the opportunity to, yes, we'll manage the stockpiles, yes, we'll do the testing, and that was the enabler to, number one for us, maintain our $1 million, but number two, actually have a demonstration of what can be achieved with this new standard.
Fantastic. That is fantastic, and it's great to have achieved all of those financial savings as well. Hey, and get that collaboration for the project itself and for the ongoing use of this particular product. So, what benefits have come out of this program, do you think, Daniel?
Well, what we understand now is that using 30% RAP in an SI type of mix has become business as usual. So recycled asphalt product is highly sought after. It's become a mix that the asphalters will batch up. So you have to do a special order to get an SS mix these days without the RAP. So I think it's taken that recycled content as to a business as usual type of situation, which is a great benefit to the environment.
That's fantastic. Hey, so I think what you're saying is that this is now business as usual, and it's the way other projects are now carrying it forward. I don't know if you know of any other projects like the Monash or others that have taken that on as well. So I think what I'm hearing from you is pretty much that's the norm now. Is that right? Yeah,
pretty much. And I think the Monash Freeway, M80. Almost all of the projects that MRPV are doing are looking at using this 30% recycled asphalt content.
Right, that's fantastic. And I guess that's MRPV. In terms of DOT and broader and other projects, Arthur, is this now the standard you would expect to see from contractors, or where does it go from here?
Yeah, well, it's certainly a standard that's certainly allowable, and DOT have now got registered mixes, with that RAP in their SS. So they still get registered as a type SS asphalt, and I know that we have had a number of mixes from asphalt suppliers that have registered those mixes. So yeah, it's certainly open as business as usual. And and I know there was just a question that popped up about the draft specification. Well, what people have to remember is that it's not a draft specification. It's merely been out to industry for about 18 to 20 months. So all those new RAP levels are business as usual now. So that was what came of the significant engagement that we had with AFPA on that. So if you go to the Vic Roads website, because they're still on the Vic Roads website, you'll find the code of practice there in section 407, which nominates all those new RAP mixes. What people have to just be mindful of, we've now got 2 levels of RAP which you can register for. There's a level 1 which basically maxes out in the order of 10 to 15%, where again the research shows generally there's nil impact with that type of RAP level. As soon as you go above the 15% and you're approaching the 30, the characteristics of the asphalt can change significantly, and that's where we're now looking for appropriate RAP management of the stockpiles in terms of the control, but also making sure they're doing that binder blend characterization. So at the end of the day, a 30% SS mix with a 320 binder is performing exactly the same as one with just C600 binder, Tony.
Fantastic. So whilst you had a specification and there were cost savings that could be had from that, as well as the very significant recycling and circular economy outcomes that come from that, it sounds to me like, Daniel, there was still more work to be done. There are other steps to be taken to actually convert this idea and this allowable process to actually turn it into a business as usual type approach. What lessons do you have, or what advice do you have to people about, how to make the most of what's possible or what's available?
I think the learning from a project point of view is get your verify your offers at the early stage, so you make sure your $1 million isn't at risk. But I think there's there's opportunities to maybe harmonise the the work across different jurisdictions. New South Wales, Queensland, they've got maybe a slightly different approach than we do, and they've got tables in their specifications that we don't have. So there's probably some work to do that could be done to harmonise across those different jurisdictions, so that everyone's clear on what can be done going forward.
Right.
So there's probably some work in that space.
Hey,
and I think that lesson learned for us was, don't give up on the opportunity, and be willing to, collaborate and work with industry and share. If it wasn't for the courage of some of the industry players to share their data, which could well have been commercial advantage for them, but they've been willing to share that so that the whole industry can take a step forward. So I think that's a big lesson out of this one, is to be brave around sharing.
That's great. That's great advice. Really appreciate it. Hey, Arthur, I know we talked about that significant change there. Tell us more about recycled materials in asphalt. What else is permissible, and what do you see as other products or other opportunities to develop perhaps a recycled industry or a better performing asphalt from other materials or recycled materials that might be available?
Yes, at the moment, the issue of recycled crushed glass is one that's certainly permissible in a number of the asphalt types. We've also introduced an amount of recycled crushed glass that can go into some lower traffic wearing courses. So that's already in the specification. And I am aware that through Sustainability Victoria, there's a number of research projects that the Australian Road Research Board and municipalities are looking at doing, which may help inform us. So certainly recycled crushed glass is one which a lot of the asphalt manufacturers, especially at the western and northern suburbs, utilise. There's been more recent work done at the Austroads level with the use of crumb rubber in binders, and there's already been a report released on that, and that's now moving towards trying to introduce an update to the specification on polymer modified binders, and we know from the work that's been done out there recently that there's been a number of crumb rubber binders that have been utilised in some of the open graded asphalts and some of the major projects, and that all sort of stemmed from that East Boundary Road trial, which was undertaken some 2 years ago. So that's been a really good innovation. We're still in the early days in terms of soft plastics. Again, Austroads are nearing the end of a significant project that's looking at the use of soft plastics as both a binder modifier, but also as an aggregate. So plastic is another one that we're looking at as well, Tony, from an Australasian point of view. They're probably the key ones, I would think, in asphalt itself.
All right, so I'm hearing glass is already in the specification and permissible at different levels if it's a wearing course
That's right.
Course. Is that right?
Yep, that's exactly right. Yep.
And in terms of the crumb rubber, is there? We know crumb rubber is used in spray seal a bit. I think we had John Ainoff and yourself actually, at a previous session. But in asphalt, there's been some work done. Is it an allowable product in asphalt now? And you talked about a new specification from Austroads. So can we do something now? Is there more coming? How's that all working out?
Yes, certainly there is. Yeah, there was a new specification released about a couple of years ago, section 421, which is a light traffic crumb rubber asphalt. So I know a number of municipalities and I think some major projects have used that for some of their collector roads, some of their access restoration works. So that's already in place. In terms of a sort of a mainstream asphalt, that's something that's still being investigated through the Austroads project. Certainly the East Boundary Road project has helped inform us and given industry an opportunity to be able to place it to see what level of confidence they have in terms of manufacturing it, placing it, can they manage fumes, and all the results from that is that certainly the industry are more than capable of producing that. So that's something that is going to be pursued in the coming period, I think, Tony. That's about all from the crumb rubber point of view.
Yeah, you mentioned some open graded asphalt.
Yep.
Can you just expand on that a little bit as to what's
I
happening?
think so. There's been a number of open graded asphalts that have been registered with a crumb rubber that was trialled out on the East Boundary Road that had been produced by Puma, the Ecologiq, I think it's called, and again, one of the asphalt suppliers has registered a mix incorporating that binder. That binder is now as of right, it incorporates a level of crumb rubber and other modifications. So we believe MAD have placed some of that down on a number of their ramps as part of their upgrade as well. So so that's been a really good outcome as well, to sort of, again, industry shows that they are able to manufacture and place it.
Right. So that Ecologiq used in open graded could also be used in any situation where polymer modified binder is.
For the grade of polymer modified binder that's been called up by the client. Yep, that's exactly right.
Fabulous. That's great. Okay, I think that's just really excellent. I guess any last words of wisdom from any of you guys before we hand it over for a few questions?
Greener is cheaper in this particular instance. So yeah, have a go at some of this stuff.
Yep. No, we think there's great opportunities to do what the Mordialloc bypass did, and I think if there's if there's an opportunity and appetite there to show that the process and the product can be controlled without any impact on the longevity or the durability of the material, I think DOT is certainly open to all those options.
That's fabulous. Thanks very much. Cheryl, we've got some questions, have we?
Yeah, we've just got another one popped in. We've got a couple. I'm not sure if you started to address some of this and whether it was addressed in session, but anyway, I'll go through them. Greg's asking, can you incorporate RAP containing a polymer modified bitumen into new AC? And can you include RAP into an AC that needs polymer modified binder?
At this stage, that's not permitted. When a client calls up a polymer modified asphalt, they're calling up a highly resistant or a high grade polymer for a particular reason. It could be that there's cracking is an issue. It could be that there's heavy traffic usage. So they're calling up a premium binder. At this stage with RAP, the impact that could occur was that that impact of that high quality binder could be impacted by that RAP replacement, because that RAP replacement could be just conventional bitumen. So it's not something which is currently allowed, and there need to be some further research into that space to try to understand, is there a minimum level where the impact of the RAP is negligible enough to not be taking away from the performance of that polymer modified binder.
Right.
Are you open to sort of trials for that? Sorry, Tony.
Oh, look, yeah. If there's trials and there's opportunities in place for people to set up the testing that's required, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And I think the first half of that question, if I heard it correctly, Arthur, was what about RAP that has PMB in it, if you like? So when you're actually winning the RAP, you might be winning it from a surface that has had PMB previously in it, as well as other.
Yeah,
I guess I might talk to the stockpile management approach or something.
Yeah, I think we'd have to talk to the asphalt suppliers about that, because I'm not too sure whether that ability, whether they have that capacity and even the real estate to be able to identify and to develop stockpiles with particular types of bitumen. I don't think we're capable of doing that, but I could be wrong. But certainly there'd be a significant effort in trying to understand what is the base binder in that RAP material. I can only imagine that they're at the end of thousands and thousands of tons of this stuff and trying to select it and try to separate it based on binder type. I'm not too sure if that's practical.
Yeah, so generally the approach is to blend all of the different RAPs that might come from various projects or from various sites, and then create this consistent viscosity, I guess you were talking about before, to actually then put into the asphalt with a known.
Yep, it's trying to get a stockpile with with very little variability amongst it. And again, I'm not an expert as to how asphalt suppliers manage RAP stockpiles, but that's what they do in accordance with with their protocols is making sure that that stockpile is homogeneous in terms of binder content and grading and all that sort of stuff, because the more variables that are thrown in there, the more asphalt suppliers then have to do up front, to isolate particular ones. But whether that's feasible or not, you would have to ask AFPA and its members.
Sure.
Yeah.
I hope that answers that question.
Apologies, we do seem to get occasional bursts of static, and we're not quite sure where it's coming from, but we'll keep going. I've got a question here from Thomas, just been rephrased. He's asking, are there possibilities of having a RAP level 2 for type L and type N mixes, or RAP level 2 higher than 15 to 20% for type H and type B? Are there technical issues, or has the research just not been done yet?
I think the research sort of beyond the 20% hasn't been done. I think the Australia's research sort of looked at that 20 to 30% mark. I think increasing beyond that 30% mark in a lot of the asphalts, you then start looking at the need to start incorporating things that they refer to as rejuvenators. There hasn't been a lot of research done on rejuvenators, and I think that's one of the key issues that I think Australians are looking at funding going into the future to allow much higher RAP to be used. But there's a lot of unknowns around, what is defined as a rejuvenator and how do we put a specification around it. In terms of the type L and type N, there was that discussion about level 2 that we had with AFPA at the time, and the reasons are sort of beyond my technical ability, but I certainly know that there was a reason as to why we didn't pursue level 2 RAP levels for type L and type N, and it was all about what councils were looking for in terms of the performance of those two asphalt types.
Great. Steve's just come in and to let us know that there is some information on the WARRIP website on a RAP project. So if people are interested, they can go there and have a look at that. Are there any other questions? We don't have anything else at this stage. Just checking. Hang on, there is one here, sorry. Can wearing courses with crumbed rubber or glass be used in RAP again? So I guess that's a secondary, it can be reused.
At this stage, yep, they can be reused. There's nothing that prohibits them from being used as RAP. So anything that's been polymer modified or has got glass in it currently goes into the stockpile, and that's one of the issues which I think road authorities are currently trying to get their heads around, is in terms of if we start allowing other products such as soft plastics going in there, what is the recyclability of it? And that's something which RMIT is looking at as part of their research project. But yes, anything with crumb rubber and glass can be recycled.
Yeah, I think that's a really valuable question, and I think it talks to the fact that we're talking about a circular economy, not just recycled materials. So, part of the value of the circular economy is the ability to give a second life and a third life to materials at their end of life. So it's pretty important that what we do doesn't then cause an adverse effect later on. So it was a really good question, and Arthur was very well answered. It's certainly permitted, and it's going to be reused again, which is great, but it's something to keep an eye on and perhaps do further research on as well to ensure we stay on track, consistent with the quality of the product.
Yeah, that's great. If there are no further questions, we are in the last couple of minutes. I will just wrap up, but if another question pops in, we'll just cover it off. Just like to thank Daniel from MRPV and the Mordialloc project, and Arthur from DOT for coming on today with Tony. I think it's been a really informative session. We do record this session and it will go up onto our knowledge share early next week. If you have any further questions, you can email us at ecologiq.vic.gov.au. ecologiq@roadprojects.vic.gov.au, and our website you can find at ecologiq.vic.gov.au. So we've only had that for a few weeks, but yeah, if you go to either of those and shoot us an email if you're looking for further information. If you're wanting to speak to Daniel or Arthur, just again, we're happy to pass those emails on. I'm sure they'd be happy to provide any further information on their projects. Is there anything else? No?
I just wanted to firstly, again, congratulate Daniel and the team at Mordy on a fantastic win, and hopefully more to come. And Arthur, thanks for all of your insights and advice and knowledge. Excellent. And also, Daniel, thank you for your shirt.
Yeah, happy Friday.
And actually, sorry, I nearly forgot. Next week, we're going to be talking about glass fines used in concrete applied at level crossing project in Reservoir. So yeah, we look forward to chatting to the Alliance team out there that use this glass in the shared user path to achieve a lighter concrete. So yeah, thanks everyone. Oh, hang on, we've got one more question. I'll quickly go to it. Oh yeah, just a thanks. Really learned a lot more about rapid management and binders. So thanks guys, that was great. Good feedback. Thank you.
So,
Thank you. Bye.
Cool.
Thank you.